Hello students, welcome back to the next session of S-block elements. Now in this session we are going to deal about the chemical properties of your group 2 elements. Let's start off with the very first point. What are group 2 elements? Then the group 2 elements are nothing but elements like beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium and radium. Moving on, we haven't discussed about group 2 elements in detail. Trends हम लोग ने पढ़े नहीं अभी तक, but we'll do them shortly, okay, after this. So let's study the chemical properties because they go very hand in hand with the chemical properties of your group 1 elements, okay. So let's start off with the very first property, that is reaction with O2. Now, talking about the reaction with O2, what we need to understand that all the group 2 elements would prefer to form either oxides or peroxides, and they do not form superoxide. So point number 1 over here, superoxides are not formed. Okay, let's move further. Now what we need to remember, let's check. We need to remember one very important point, that oxides are given by all the elements of group 2. You take beryllium, you take magnesium, you take calcium, strontium, whatever it might be, वो सारे elements तुम्हें oxides देंगे. So let's take an example over here. अगर हम लोग ने let's suppose beryllium लिया and इसको treat किया O2 के साथ, तो मुझे बताओ क्या मिलेगा? We'll get a compound which should be nothing but BeO. And why is that so? Because beryllium has a valency of 2, oxygen has a valency of 2. So अगर criss cross करोगे, you would get a compound which is BeO. अच्छा ध्यान देना, ये reaction if you want to balance it out, then इसको balancing कैसे किया जाएगा देखते हैं. For balancing, what you would do is you would take two berylliums over here and you would get O2 on the other side. If you balance it out, you would simply get 2 BeO. Fine. Let's move further. अच्छा, next we need to form peroxides, है ना? And peroxides के लिए what is the oxidation state? Then sir, दो oxygen have a oxidation state of -2. Therefore, what we can say, देखो ध्यान से, if you talk about let's say strontium, so strontium has a valency of 2. O2 has a valency of 2 also. What is the compound that you would get? You're going to get a compound which is nothing but SrO2. And ये reaction होगा कैसे देखते हैं. The reaction would be Sr plus O2 gives you SrO2. Okay, now what is the point to remember over here? One very crucial point. Listen carefully. Oxides are given by all the elements of group 2. So oxides कौन कौन देगा? Oxides सब लोग देंगे. Group 2 के जितने भी elements हैं वो सारे elements तुम्हें oxides देंगे. So this is given by all elements. लेकिन जो peroxides है, these are only given by strontium, barium and radium. Okay, it's not given by beryllium, magnesium and calcium. ठीक है, चलो आगे देखते हैं. Let's move on with the next reaction, that is reaction with water. अच्छा, ये काफी सिंपल है, ध्यान देना. Reaction with water होगा क्या? It would give you a corresponding hydroxide. And mind it, group 2 hydroxides are slightly less basic as compared to group 1 hydroxides. Group 1 hydroxide, strongest hydroxides. उससे थोड़ा सा weak are group 2 hydroxides. ठीक है, अच्छा चलो देखते हैं. Let's see. Now beryllium, when it reacts with water, what you would get? You would get a compound which is BeOH twice. Plus you would get H2 that would be liberated. Achha, similarly, if you talk about magnesium, then magnesium plus H2O gives you MgOH twice plus H2. Similarly, अगर calcium के साथ बात की जाए तो calcium will give you CaOH twice plus H2. Further, if you talk about strontium, it will give you SrOH twice plus H2. And finally, if you talk about barium, it would give you BaOH twice plus H2. Now, a very important thing that we need to remember over here, that's very crucial. Check करते हैं क्या. If you talk about calcium, strontium and barium, these three elements would react with cold water. इन्हें कोल्ड वाटर भी चल जाएगा, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है इनके साथ। बट देन इफ यू टॉक अबाउट मैग्नीशियम ना, मैग्नीशियम रिक्वायर्स हॉट वाटर and beryllium requires steam. So what we need to know that if you want to make beryllium hydroxide, reaction होगा, but the reaction would happen at a temperature of 100 degrees Celsius, or the reaction would happen with steam. That means कि तुम्हें बहुत ज़्यादा एनर्जी लगेगा। and just check करो, अगर beryllium is requiring very high amount of energy to react with water, can we say over here that beryllium is लीस्ट रिएक्टिव? ठीक है। अच्छा, एक और चीज याद रखना है यहाँ पे, एक क्वेश्चन कभी कभी ऐसा पूछा जाता है कि व्हाई डज कैल्शियम फ्लोट्स ऑन वाटर? ओके, नाउ व्हाट इज द रीजन फॉर दैट? दैट्स वेरी सिंपल, देख लेना। होता क्या है ना सर, कैल्शियम ओवर हियर व्हेन इट इज रिएक्टेड विद वाटर, व्हाट वुड हैपन देन, ये जो H2 लिबरेट होता है, दिस H2 स्टिक्स टू द सर्फेस ऑफ द मेटल, to the surface of the metal. अच्छा, इसके वजह से होता क्या है, the metal becomes lighter, and because the metal is getting lighter and lighter, what is going to happen? Your calcium would just start floating on water. ठीक है, तो कभी कभी ये क्वेश्चन पूछा जा सकता है कि why does calcium floats on water? It's just because your hydrogen sticks to the calcium atom. नथिंग मोर देन दैट। ठीक है। अच्छा, रिएक्शन मैं तुम लोग के लिए सिर्फ एक रिएक्शन बैलेंस कर रहा हूँ, एंड देन वैसे ही केस में तुम बाकी रिएक्शंस भी बैलेंस करोगे। ठीक है, तो चलो लेट्स स्टार्ट ऑफ विद द बैलेंसिंग ऑफ द वेरी फर्स्ट रिएक्शन, बेरिलियम वाला, है ना। तो देखते हैं। अच्छा, बेरिलियम व्हेन इट रिएक्ट्स विद वाटर गिव्स यू BeOH ट्वाइस, मतलब तुम्हें कितने OH लगेंगे? तो यू रिक्वायर 2 OH, है ना। सो इफ यू रिक्वायर 2 OH, सर यहाँ पे 2 लेना पड़ेगा। Fine. So you require 2 water molecules, and when you take 2 water molecules, you would get BeOH twice plus H2 that would be lost, and your reaction becomes balanced. Now, I hope कि तुम बाकी reactions खुद से balance कर सकते हो। काफ़ी simple है, बस 2 डाल देना, reaction balance हो जाएगा, है ना। चलो आगे देखते हैं। Okay, let's see. Hey, next one is the reaction of hydrogen with group 2 metals. Again, the same reaction would happen, nothing very special about it. हाँ, एक चीज इंपॉर्टेंट है, वो हम लोग पढ़ेंगे, ध्यान देना। नाउ इफ यू टॉक अबाउट ग्रुप 2 एलिमेंट्स, ऑल द हाइड्राइड्स व्हिचएवर आर फॉर्म्ड, ऑल ऑफ देम आर आयोनिक इन नेचर। इसमें से बेरिलियम हाइड्राइड वुड बी हाईली कोवेलेंट इन नेचर। Now, why is it covalent in nature? It's because of the anomalous property of beryllium. Now, what is this anomalous property? Anomalous property का meaning that beryllium एक ऐसा एलिमेंट है ग्रुप 2 का जो बाकी एलिमेंट्स के कंपैरिजन में थोड़ा सा अलग बिहेव करेगा। एंड वो क्यों करेगा? So because beryllium is very small in size. Because of its small size, it has a very high ionization energy, and because of that, it polarizes the bond much more easily. And if you remember, हमने केमिकल बॉन्डिंग में एक टॉपिक पढ़ा है कॉल्ड एज फजान्स रूल, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस फजान्स रूल व्हाट वी कैन से, स्मॉलर द साइज ऑफ कैटायन, स्ट्रॉन्गर इज द पोलराइजेबिलिटी। देन लेट्स चेक, कैल्शियम का वैलेंसी होगा, इफ यू टॉक अबाउट कैल्शियम, द वैलेंसी ऑफ कैल्शियम इज 2, हाइड्रोजन द वैलेंसी इज 1. Now, if you do a crisscross over here, what is the compound that you would get? You would definitely get a compound which is CaH2. Okay, further, so if you talk about strontium and इसको react किया अगर हाइड्रोजन के साथ, तो ये भी उसी तरीके से react करेगा, which is nothing but SrH2. तो you will get corresponding hydride. अच्छा, similarly बेरियम, सब बेरियम भी वही टाइप का हाइड्राइड देगा, BaH2. Okay, and please remember all of these hydrides whichever are formed right now, all of them are ionic, जिसमें से maximum covalent character beryllium hydride के लिए आएगा. So let's write down this point so that we don't forget it out. So what we have said that all of these hydrides whichever are formed right now are ionic in nature, but then beryllium hydride, that is BeH2, will have maximum covalent character. Okay, and why is that so? It's because of the anomalous property of beryllium which we'll study shortly. ठीक है, सो अभी इसके बारे में नहीं ज़्यादा बात करेंगे, बट हाँ, I'll tell you the reason why is that anomalous property happening. It's because of small size. ओके अच्छा, स्मॉल साइज के वजह से होता क्या है सर, स्मॉल साइज है तो आयनाइजेशन एनर्जी बहुत ज़्यादा लगेगा, है ना, So over here you will require very high ionization energy, and it's because of these two major reasons your anomalous property of beryllium comes into picture. Okay, so let's move further. There is one more anomalous property of beryllium hydride. Let's check that also. Now beryllium and hydrogen, they cannot be combined directly. Now beryllium hydride अगर बनाना है, then what we need to do is we need to take a special reaction into consideration. We can't make it by direct combination for beryllium hydride. तो beryllium hydride कैसे produce करेंगे? Let's check. So if you want to produce beryllium hydride, what we would do is we would take BeCl2, treat it with a champion reducing agent lithium aluminium hydride. You remember champion reducing agent? हम लोग ने ऐसा बोला था, ठीक है? इसका नाम is lithium aluminium hydride, but we would refer it as champion reducing agent. Okay, what's going to happen? Let's see. So beryllium chloride would just get converted into BeH2, which is beryllium hydride. Along with this, you would get LiCl and AlCl3. Fine, no worries with this. ध्यान रखना, beryllium hydride cannot be produced by direct combination. ठीक है, चलो आगे देखते हैं. Here next up is a reaction with N2, the very special reaction and a very simple reaction. Over here, point number 1. If you talk about group 1, so group 1 में सिर्फ lithium react करता था N2 के साथ. But in this case, all of them, that is all the group 2 metals, would react with N2. And what they would give you is, they would give you corresponding nitrides. So, यहाँ पे मिलेगा क्या? You would get the corresponding nitrides that would be formed. And if you try to recollect, इसका formula क्या बनेगा? Let's check. So currently we are talking about metal of group 2. So the valency is 2. Nitrogen, the valency is 3. And if you do a crisscross, what you would get is, you would get the compound as M3N2. And this will be nothing but your corresponding metal nitride. Okay. Also, if you remember one more point, हम लोग ने ये point discuss किया है कि whenever you take any metal nitride and इसको अगर तुम hydrolyze करोगे तो तुम्हें corresponding non-metal hydride मिलेगा. Okay, we'll discuss that reaction also for some of them. Let's check. So over here, what do we need to do? देखते हैं. If we talk about beryllium, Be plus N2 gives you what? Then this would simply give me Be3N2. And for balancing out, just put 3Be over here, your reaction becomes balanced. Okay, अच्छा similarly अगर calcium के लिए किया तो क्या आएगा? देखते हैं. So calcium, that is obviously 3 calcium plus N2 gives me Ca3N2, and this would be nothing but calcium nitride. Okay, now as said earlier, कोई भी नाइट्राइड अगर वाटर के साथ ट्रीट किया जाएगा तो वो तुम्हें करस्पॉन्डिंग हाइड्राइड देगा. इसका मीनिंग क्या है? वापस एक बार रिवाइज कर लेते हैं, ध्यान से सुनना. ओके, सो व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ दिस? देन लेट्स सपोज यू हैव टेकन कैल्शियम नाइट्राइड एंड कैल्शियम नाइट्राइड को तुमने वाटर के साथ ट्रीट किया. ओके, so what you would get is, you would get a corresponding hydride which is nothing but NH3. And if you remember, NH3 is referred as ammonia and इसको एक और नाम से बुलाता है which is nothing but azine. So over here, the NH3 that you are getting would be referred by a name which is either ammonia or azine. Again, I have not balanced the reaction. I would leave that to you. Okay, the reaction is absolutely simple to balance it out. I have not balanced the reaction and I leave that job to you. ठीक है, तो कर लेना, बहुत सिंपल है बैलेंसिंग, मैं वो नहीं कर रहा तुम लोग के लिए. ठीक है, चलो आगे देखते हैं. द नेक्स्ट रिएक्शन, देन रिएक्शन विद हैलोजेंस. इवन दिस इज वेरी सिंपल एंड वेरी स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड, बहुत ज़्यादा मेहनत नहीं करनी है, चेक करो. देन सो इफ यू टॉक अबाउट रिएक्शन विद हैलोजन, देन द रिएक्शन वुड गो समथिंग लाइक दिस. लेट्स सपोज तुम्हारे पास है कैल्शियम जिसकी वैलेंसी होती है 2. अच्छा, हैलोजन ले लिया तुमने, लेट्स सपोज क्लोरीन, okay, जिसका वैलेंसी होता है 1. Hey, do crisscross. What is the compound that you would get? You would get a compound which is CaCl2. Nothing more than that. ठीक है. अच्छा, बाकी reactions भी इतने ही simple है. Don't worry about it. देखो. So over here, if you talk about certain examples like calcium या magnesium ले लो, या फिर दूसरा एक और, चलो barium ले लेते हैं. ठीक है. So if you talk about calcium when treated with Cl2 gives you CaCl2. Further, if magnesium is treated with Cl2, this will give you MgCl2. Further, if barium is treated with chlorine gives you BaCl2. And if you notice the reaction is already balanced also. So यहाँ पे balance करने की भी ज़रूरत नहीं है, ठीक है. अब most important part देखो. If you talk about BX2, that is preparation of beryllium halide. ध्यान देना, beryllium halide को prepare करने का तरीका. Then beryllium halide cannot be prepared using beryllium and halogen. मतलब वापस डायरेक्ट कॉम्बिनेशन से नहीं बन पाएगा. इसको ना इस तरीके से याद रखो. बेरिलियम हर रिएक्शन में नाटक दिखाएगा. सो देखो होगा क्या, अगर BX2 बनाना है तो हम लोग ने स्टार्ट किया BO से, दैट इज बेरिलियम ऑक्साइड. वी आर ट्रीटिंग इट विद कार्बन. Okay, we are treating it with carbon in the presence of chlorine, that is Cl2, because we need to produce beryllium chloride, है ना. तो देखो मिलेगा क्या. Hey, we would be just getting BeCl2 plus CO. That's it. Okay, this is one method. Talking about the second method for production of fluorides, especially for fluorides, for beryllium fluorides. Then, so BeO plus 2NH3 plus HF gives me an intermediate compound which is NH4 twice BeF2. Now this compound NH4 twice BeF2 on heating gives me BeF2 plus 2NH4F, that is ammonium fluoride. इस compound का नाम क्या आ जाएगा? The name of this compound is ammonium fluoride. Okay, the next reaction for production of fluorine, specifically for fluorides, beryllium fluorides, then check करो क्या आएगा. Beryllium fluoride अगर बनाना है तुम्हें, then you would take BeO, which is beryllium oxide, plus 2 ammonia, that is 2NH3 plus HF. अच्छा, what it would give you? It would give you an intermediate compound which is NH4 twice BeF4. Okay, this is BeF4, which on heating gets converted into BeF2 plus NH4F. अच्छा, what is the name of NH4F? चलो लिख देते हैं इसको. This is referred as ammonium fluoride. Acha, similarly, if you talk about NH4 twice BeF4, then what is the name of this compound? Then the name of this compound is ammonium ammonium tetrafluoroberylate 2. Okay, this is the name of this complex which is formed as an intermediate. ठीक है, इसके लिए ध्यान देना, इसका नाम important है, बहुत बार एग्जाम में पूछा जाता है. ठीक है कि what is ammonium tetrafluoroberylate. Okay, so that's all for this module, students. With this we finish up the chemical properties of group 2 elements. That's all. Thank you and happy learning.